Today, I want to take you on a journey to explore one of the most famous bridges in the entire world. A bridge so iconic that even if you have never been to the United States, you have definitely seen pictures of it. I'm talking about the Golden Gate Bridge, the giant bright red suspension bridge that stretches across the entrance of San Francisco Bay. But the story behind this bridge is way more exciting than most people realize. And by the end of this video, you'll see it not just as a cool landmark, but as an engineering superhero. So let's start at the beginning. Before the Golden Gate Bridge existed, the only way to cross from San Francisco to the other side, to a place called Marin County, was by boat. And the water in that strait, called the Golden Gate Strait, was not friendly at all. It's deep, the currents are strong. Fog often rolls in like a thick blanket, and storms used to make crossing dangerous. People living in San Francisco dreamed of having a bridge, a connection that would make their lives safer and easier. But for decades, everyone said the same thing. Building a bridge there was impossible. Imagine being told something is impossible and still deciding to do it anyway. That's exactly what happened. In the early 1900s, an engineer named Joseph Strauss believed the impossible could become possible. At that time, he wasn't famous. In fact, most people didn't trust that he could actually pull it off. But Strauss had a vision. He believed that with the right team, the right planning, and a lot of courage, a bridge could stand where no one thought a bridge could ever survive. But before any construction could even start, there were major challenges. First, there were the natural challenges: fierce winds that could push ships around, unpredictable tides, waves as high as buildings during storms, and the constant fog that made visibility almost zero. Second, there were political challenges. Some people didn't want the bridge at all. They were worried it would cost too much money or that it would ruin the beauty of the bay. Others thought that a bridge that long simply could not stay standing. But the dream didn't die. In 1933, construction finally began, and this is where the real adventure starts. If you're reimagining some workers casually building a bridge with perfect weather every day, think again. What they faced was extremely dangerous. The towers that hold the bridge cables are taller than many skyscrapers. To build them, workers had to stand on narrow beams hundreds of feet above the ocean with freezing wind hitting them in the face. The slightest mistake could be deadly. But here's something really inspiring. The Golden Gate Bridge became one of the first large construction projects in the world to use strict safety rules. Strauss cared deeply about protecting the workers. He made them wear hard hats. One of the earliest projects to do so, he set up safety lines. And one of the smartest ideas was a giant safety net hung under the construction area. And that net saved the lives of 19 workers. Those 19 workers started calling themselves the Halfway to Hell Club because they literally fell hundreds of feet, only to bounce safely into the net instead of falling into the ocean. Without these safety innovations, the Golden Gate Bridge might have been remembered as a tragedy instead of a triumph. Now let's talk about the engineering itself, because this part is amazing. The Golden Gate Bridge is a suspension bridge, which means that the roadway hangs from thick cables draped between two massive towers. Each of those main cables is made from thousands of thinner wires twisted together, and each wire is thinner than a pencil. But when all those wires are combined, they are unbelievably strong. In fact, if you stretched out all the wires inside just one of the two main cables, it would reach more than halfway around Earth. Another incredible part of the construction was the color. When people talk about the Golden Gate Bridge, they always point out that it's not gold. Instead, it's a reddish-orange color called international orange. Why this color? At first, nobody planned for it. It was just the color used on the steel to protect it from rust. But when people saw it glowing through the fog, they realized something important. The color made the bridge stand out even on the foggiest days, which meant ships could see it clearly. So the color was not only beautiful, it was also practical. By 1937, after 4 years of construction, countless challenges, and the hard work of thousands of people, the bridge was finally completed. When it opened, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world. People celebrated by walking across it, riding bikes, and soaking in the view that had once been only a dream. The opening day was so popular that traffic backed up for hours. It was as if everyone wanted to step onto history. But the Golden Gate Bridge didn't become famous just because of its size. It became famous because of what it represented. It stood for determination. It showed that humans could solve problems that looked impossible, and it became a symbol of hope during the Great Depression, a time when millions of people had lost jobs, money, and confidence in the future. Seeing something so grand being built made people believe that better days were coming. Even today, almost 90 years later, the Golden Gate Bridge remains a symbol of American creativity and courage. It continues to impress engineers from all over the world with its design. Artists paint it. Photographers try to capture its beauty through fog and sunlight. It appears in movies, books, postcards, and even in science classes. And millions of people visit it every year, not just to cross it, but to stand in awe of what humans can achieve when they refuse to give up. One thing a lot of young people find fascinating is how the bridge can move. Yes, it moves. Suspension bridges are designed to be flexible. Strong winds can make the bridge sway, sometimes several feet side to side, and during earthquakes, it can bend and twist without breaking. Engineers designed it this way on purpose because a rigid structure would snap under stress. So the Golden Gate Bridge isn't just strong, it's smart. Another interesting detail is the constant maintenance. Because the bridge is exposed to salty air from the ocean, the steel needs protection. A team of painters and engineers work year-round to keep the bridge coated and safe from rust. It isn't true that the painting never stops because once they finish, they immediately start over. But the maintenance does require constant attention, which means caring for the bridge is a full-time job. Now let's talk about the cultural side of the Golden Gate Bridge, because this bridge is more than a piece of metal crossing a bay. To people around the world, it represents adventure, discovery, and a welcoming doorway into San Francisco. When early sailors passed under the Golden Gate Strait long before the bridge was built, they saw it as the gateway to new opportunities, especially during the gold rush. That's actually how the strait got its name. The term Golden Gate came before the bridge, not the other way around. Because of this history, the bridge carries a sense of excitement. It reminds us of explorers, dreamers, risk-takers, and innovators. And maybe that's why so many young people feel inspired when they see it. It's not just tall and beautiful, it feels like a promise that something amazing is possible. So what can we learn from the Golden Gate Bridge? First, we learn that big dreams often start with someone who believes in doing what others think can't be done. Second, we see that solving problems takes teamwork. No single engineer or worker built the bridge alone. And third, we learn that beautiful things can come from difficult challenges. When you look at the Golden Gate Bridge, you're not just seeing a bridge, you're seeing decades of determination, thousands of hands working together, and the courage to take risks when everyone else said no. And maybe the next time you see a photo of the bridge emerging through the fog or standing strong against the blue sky, you'll think about how it became a landmark that people around the world admire. Maybe you'll think about how engineering can shape the world. And maybe, just maybe, it will encourage you to dream a little bigger too. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the story of the Golden Gate Bridge. There are many famous structures in the world, but very few have a story as bold, as inspiring, and as unforgettable as this one.